70 लाख रुपए for a 1% stake in the company.
ये अच्छी पोजीशनिंग।
तो हमारा ऑफर है 70 लाख for 4%.
मेरा ऑफर है 70 लाख 3.5% के लिए।
Done. Let's close it.
आपको आइडियाज कौन देगा ये फाइनेंसिंग?
हम सब बिजनेस पीपल हैं।
Shark Tank India has the potential to unleash a life of purposefulness, especially for our country following the demographic stats where India has more than 50% population below the age of 25 and more than 65% below the age of 35, which makes us one of the youngest populations in the world. Content has the power to drive change in behaviors, and that's what Shark Tank is doing. Shark Tank has become one of the most sought after, talked about and watched TV shows by the Indian audiences in recent times and is an outright hit. The show has been a household talk at dinner conversations with the financial jargons being passed over instead of plates, along with the elongated discussions about the innovative ideas, the pitching and budding entrepreneurs present to not just the judges but to the millions of inquisitive audiences watching them. But why are Indian masses going gaga over this show? How has a country which used to swoon over soaps like Kyunki Saas Bhi Kahi Bahu Thi come so far as to be engaging in a business reality show? That too at a prime time. So in today's episode, we'll try to analyze the answers to these questions. As well, find out that why India needs more shows like Shark Tank now than ever. And why shows like these are the need of the hour not just for the Indian people, rather the Indian economy as a whole. Chapter 1. The Individual Entrepreneur. India is a country which is driven by micro enterprises. As per the 6th economic census conducted between January 2013 and April 2014, 2 out of every 3 enterprises in India, not counting agriculture, do not have any hard labor. This translates to almost 6 crore enterprises employing 13 crore people as per the economic census, which means on an average, Indian workplace employs 2 people. Thus, it's safe to say that majority of the micro enterprises are run by individuals. These are the people who are pushed into entrepreneurship by negative situational factors such as dissatisfaction with existing employment, loss of employment, or after experiencing a career setback. Hence, these are known as entrepreneurs by necessity. On the other hand, as per the Economic Survey 21-22, India was declared as the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world after US and China, when government recognized over 14,000 new startups in 21-22 against 733 in 16-17. This figure made the total startup figure to surpass 61,400. Now, the owners of these startups were not pushed, instead pulled into the entrepreneur ecosphere, given the opportunities present to cash upon. Thus, these can be said to be entrepreneurs by opportunity. Now look at this pyramid. This pyramid is known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Post-independence and before liberalization in 1991, the majority of the people of the country were trying to make ends meet by fulfilling their basic needs at the bottom of the pyramid. But as the country entered liberalization era, it gave rise to the individual entrepreneur who, after crossing the basic needs barrier, was now looking to catch hold of the social needs and esteem needs. These are the entrepreneurs driven by necessity, who do not want to be subservient to any other individual. But sitting at the top of the pyramid are the entrepreneurs by opportunity, who have reached the self-actualization phase and want to reach their full potential as an individual now. But you might be wondering, all this is fine, but where does Shark Tank fall in all this? Well, you see people, the popularity of Shark Tank here is not restricted to just one group in the pyramid. The show is trying to motivate, educate and evolve each group to reach that self-actualization part at the top. The people who are trying to meet their ends meet are being driven to help themselves get motivated to reach the next phase of physiological needs. Whereas entrepreneurs by necessity are learning from the show to climb onto the next part of self-fulfillment needs above. A perfect example can be quoted of contestant Jugaadu Kamlesh, who is an Indian farmer and developed a pesticide spraying machine with the help of bare minimum resources and thus elevated himself to self-actualization realm. But what about the entrepreneurs by opportunity? who are already sitting at the top realm of the pyramid. Why would they be interested in the show? Well, these people have the biggest reason to follow Shark Tank, since they are the ones looking for the new and innovative ideas to inculcate in their own business, while also looking out for ways to better market themselves. So you see, while presenting something for everyone, Shark Tank presents itself as not just an educating and entertaining show, but rather a quintessential example of why there needs to be more such shows, which will help not just the entrepreneurs, rather other occupational status of the country as well. Chapter 2, Charting a Progressive Path. Alright, so we discussed in the previous chapter how entrepreneurs by necessity are eventually going to evolve into entrepreneurs by opportunity. And the existing entrepreneurs by opportunity are going to be driving the growth wagon on a large scale. But at what level will the show like Shark Tank have its contribution and influence over the Indian society and these budding entrepreneurs? First of all, people television in itself is a pretty significant driver of growth, especially for a poverty and stigmas driven country like India. This was established by research conducted on the impact of television on the growth of women empowerment in India, and in the research it was observed that the effects of cable happen at a rapid pace, with changes observed in the first year itself following the cable introduction. Changes have been observed in actual behaviors of women, with visible changes in women household autonomy, as well as reduced biasness towards girl child birth. As a result, in long-term developments, investments in children's education and healthcare improved, since women had greater autonomy and a bigger voice in the household, because of which school enrollments, especially for younger children, increased. So when we expand this picture to a decade's timeline, then the impact driven by the shows like Shark Tank can set to have magnitudes of holistic growth effects on these children, as well as their maturing and growing parents, in terms of better exposure, entertainment driven learning, and most importantly, inspiration and motivation to stand on their own, like the contestants of the show and the sharks, which will further help drive women entrepreneurship in the country while alleviating the economic condition of India from remotest parts as well. Secondly, the show is breaking the bounds of the societal stigma, which has been plaguing our country for quite some time now. So when you see people like Aditi Gupta pitching for her company Menstruopedia on television in front of millions of people, it brings about a joy to the faces of judges and the whole nation. And this is because at that moment, simultaneously, we all become aware of the significance of that pitch and the product, which is narrator-driven comics developed to offer facts about menstruation. And so, it is at that exact moment on the stage that the taboo is broken in real time and for real. Another great example of such a company and product on the show is Nut Job, by two women entrepreneurs, Ananya and Anushri Mallu. Nut Job is a brand of men's hygiene products, but the significance portrayed here is that its founders are women. And these women were confidently open with their pitch, which included them walking onto the stage dressed as itching their groins, thus making a statement of proud entrepreneurs displaying the relevance of their product, because of which they made a resounding splash with not just the sharks but the audiences alike. Gone are the days when people used to change the channel at the occurrence of the word menstruation on the screen, which depicts that the people of this country have come a long way from the melodrama-driven operas on television and find shows like Shark Tank as the medium of societal change in one way or the other, because of which the show has garnered sheer love and affection from audiences of all age groups. Chapter 3, The Young India and its Entrepreneurs. Now, in order to understand what change and impact can progressive and educational shows like Shark Tank have on the India's growth and demographics and help give rise to younger generations of entrepreneurs, let's try to analyze this with the help of a timeline-based path. Well, first, let's look at pre- and post-liberalization eras. So if you see this graph here, you will see that real India and synthetic India groups mirror each other before the line which represents liberalization. But as soon as liberalization was introduced, the two groups diverged and the difference in GDP is clearly evident, where the gap did not exceed $17 prior to liberalization, However, it became exponentially wider after 1991, reaching $158 just a decade later in 2001. Now you might be thinking that the gap does not seem that big. But if you look at this in income terms, Indian citizens' incomes were 25% greater than what their incomes would have been in the absence of liberalization. So if you look at it from Maslow's perspective again, liberalization helped Indians to cross the basic needs domain and helped reach the physiological domain. Then post 2001, this was further provided a boost by certain correlating factors and proven stats as per Economic Survey 1920. Firstly, an increase in the proportion of literate population in a district led to increase in entrepreneurial activity as measured by the number of new firms in the district. The largest increases are witnessed when literacy rises above 72%, which clarifies that small increases in literacy levels matter less. And contrarily, the largest payoffs to increasing literacy occur when literacy levels are already high, particularly above 72%. Secondly, similar to literacy, as the number of colleges in a district increase above 26, this results in an increase in entrepreneurship. This better education infrastructure combined with more educated masses are associated with greater entrepreneurship. Thirdly, a 10% increase in registration of new firms per district leads to a 1.8% increase in gross domestic district product, which represents a district's growth. This clearly states the significance of entrepreneurship and the Shark Tank culture as an engine of economic growth and change in India. And since this figure shows that the birth of new firms has gone up drastically, particularly in the services sector, this proves the development of India's comparative advantage from dominant sectors like manufacturing and IT, and therefore India's transition from a follower to a leader is imminent. So when shows like Shark Tank further provide a boost to India's startup culture in years to come, this as a result will help in elevating the growth rate of entrepreneurship. Furthermore, this growth rate will help bridge the gap between the average entrepreneurial age of 31 years now and the demographic age start of 25 years, which we discussed in the starting of the episode. And this is ultimately going to result in India being able to utilize its demographic dividend to its utmost level, thereby bringing the entrepreneurial age down from 31, because of which more and more younger entrepreneurs will become the foundations of the Indian economy. And that was today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked the episode, do not forget to like and share with your friends. And also help the channel grow by subscribing and for more such great content. I'll see you all in the next episode. Mindfulness signing off.